Hi, I'm Professor Stephanie Ahern, and I'll be teaching MSFS 541 Economic Dimensions of International Security. So there are four main learning objectives within this course. First is to look at the complex linkages between economics, politics, and security from the society to the international level, and how these are really impacting what societies and states and regions in the international system are able to do. The second is understanding and appreciating that money is neutral, how it's used is not. And so we'll look at not only from countries and how they're using money to achieve their ends, or if those are actually their objectives, and how even within regions there's different dynamics going across those. The third is to look at specific capabilities that states, that diasporas, that NGOs, that different actors bring in, and really saying what are the opportunities and the constraints that economics brings. So specifically, what about monetary, fiscal, financial, trade policy? What about aid, sanctions? They can be carrots, they can be sticks. With different efforts that states have within the IGOs, the diasporas, and really trying to pull that together so that as practitioners or people influencing practitioners, you have a better understanding of what these tools are. And then fourth, it's looking at the incentives that economics brings. So in a semester, clearly not going to help you become an economist. However, really understanding how the incentives align with the ends, not only in class, but in the assignments, so that you can better create courses of actions with clear risks, costs, and benefits, so that you can help get your policies implemented. So you can't reduce national security events to only economics. However, in addition to the political, the cultural, and the social impacts, looking at how events that are going on across the country, across the region, across the world, economics plays a critical role. So just within the past 5 years, the financial crisis obviously had clear financial fiscal impacts. However, the Arab Spring, what caused it? What are its impacts? We look today at Ukraine, Russia. Why did they go in? But also, what are the capabilities that Europe and other countries have in order to try to change the situation? And even as we're looking at the US with the new energy markets, what are those impacts not only for the US, but for the world? So who should take this class? Two groups of people. One is national security professionals, people that are wanting to be practitioners, but just as importantly, people that want to impact national security professionals. We'll be going through some within the US, but this is really not a US focused course. We're going to be looking at efforts from different countries and different regions so that we can better understand the instincts and how these tools, how economics is actually impacting. So I'm a lieutenant colonel in the US Army. In this class, I'll be wearing my professor hat. But I'm currently serving in the Office of Secretary of Defense for Policy at the Pentagon. So my career has really been at the seams of these topics. I grew up as an engineer, deployed to Bosnia, Albania, and Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and really seeing the impact of economics on the ground, some positive, some challenging. I spent a year at Treasury working in the macroeconomic part of that department. I also spent a summer at Department of State working with the office that works with FMF and IMET and Section 1206. So some of the tools that exist for states to be able to get their national security and their foreign policy objectives using economics. So this course is divided into 4 sections. The first section is looking at economic constraints and opportunities that are occurring at the system level. So we look at globalization, we look at natural resources, how are they impacting, what are positive or negatives can happen, and the greed and grievous discussions. In the second section, we break it down by regions, but then look at specific countries within that region. So we look at Europe, we look at Asia, we look at the Middle East. And then the third section, we look at tools that are actually at the disposal of states. So we look at sanctions, we look at aid, we look at trade, we look at some of those, the bread and butter, the guns and butter issues of what states are capable of doing. And the last section is one of the fun parts. What's out there that's actually constraining states? So we look at IGOs and NGOs, we look at diasporas, we look at multinational corporations and contractors. We look at the informal economy, pirates, drug czars, and really trying to see what's impacting states' ability to get what they want in the international system. As far as for assignments, This is very much focused on practitioners. So we have 2 policy memos, 2 pages each. We also have 2 group presentations that each also have a group memo, 2 pages each. We have a final at the end, but really I take very seriously my responsibility to help train you, to educate you as far as how to clearly and concisely prepare your information so that you can give it to a decision maker to help implement your really good ideas.